Hey guys, Andy here, and welcome to the first episode of The Art of Drawing Like Andy. Wow. So, yeah, the purpose of these videos is to help become a better artist. I often get approached to teach people how to draw or draw better. And a lot of people don't realize it's not really so much about technique as it is the approach. And really, when it comes to drawing the way that I draw, it is about what goes on up here. You know, a lot of people that know me know right off the bat that I'm not like most people. I don't think very normal, very scatterbrained. I try to keep it together, and I try to remain intelligible about it. So yeah, before we get started, a little disclaimer here. This is by no means the only way to draw well, and this first video is just an introduction. The future videos will actually have examples of what I'm talking about, you know. So yeah, a little history about myself. I am an artist. I draw. I paint a little bit. I also write short stories and poems, and I dabble in making music. And you may be somewhat familiar with some of my stuff. Probably not, though, because I'm not too popular. So yeah, I started drawing when I could first hold a crayon, basically. So I was like maybe 3 years old, and from a very early age, a lot of people could instantly notice that I had some kind of talent, and I really didn't think of anything. I didn't think anything of it, and I still don't, even now. You know, I've always just drawn. You know, just did it. I didn't really think too much about it. My first move towards being a serious artist happened recently, actually. You know, I've always taken art classes, and there was nothing I could really use about those art classes to better myself so much as, well, beyond terminology. A lot of things I had some idea about, and I just didn't have words for them. I guess when I think about it, though, that means that I had a pretty stunted growth, considering how much I did not change. But yeah, throughout high school, I learned about value, composition, texture, contrast, the names of different tools, etc. And my particular style, I would say, is somewhere between and the way American comics are drawn and the way manga is drawn. It's realistic yet stylized. I try to use a lot of detail in my drawings when I can, and I try to imply a lot of detail when I can. There are basically three things that we're going to cover in these videos: composition, story, and execution. And composition is basically what you're going to draw. My particular focus when I draw is monsters and myself. Don't ask me why. Maybe it's a reflection of my psyche. It probably is, considering that's where most things come from. And they're just easier for me to draw off the top of my head. You know, I don't really have to think about it. A lot of people choose to draw lettering or whatever, scenery. Not really my stick, but that's not to say that I don't know how to draw those things. You know, I'm still fairly new with drawing wildlife, but it's good to learn whatever you can, whenever you can. So yeah, when it comes to composition, study the world around you. Take photographs whenever you can, and you don't even have to look at the photographs later on. Just the fact that you took them kind of helps you remember how things look. The same way with writing notes. You know, make notes, write them down, and you will remember them a lot more than if you never wrote them down. So, yeah, and whatever you draw, draw it. You know, try not to think about it too much the first time you do it. It's okay to mess up. It's okay to make mistakes. You know, a lot of good things come from mistakes, you know. When I was in maybe kindergarten, I think, one of our drawing exercises in art was to just scribble on the paper, a really big piece of paper, and then try to see something out of it. The first time I did it, I created a dinosaur. I colored it in green, and yeah. Also, don't be afraid to draw different things. You know, you want to try more difficult things. Try to get in over your head and when tackling certain projects, and it will help you learn. It will help you be better. All right. Then you have story. You know, story. What are you trying to say with this picture? What emotions do you want to invoke? And a lot of this can be conveyed through the focal points of a picture. You know, if you're drawing a rose, for instance, you want to have a blurry background because you want to keep the attention on the rose. What I recommend doing is, if you're using a pencil or whatever, just shade somewhat darkly in the background randomly. You know, and then take like a paper towel and just smudge it. You also want to think about execution. How are you going to draw it? Are you going to use high contrast? Are you going to use heavy lines? Or are you more of a freestyle artist that uses light lines? That's one style that I am particularly fond of using, especially when I'm gesture drawing. You know, really light lines as opposed to heavy, thick lines. You know, it makes it easier for you to add value to your object or your subject, rather. And it just overall makes for a better picture, in my opinion, to start off with light lines and then go in heavier. Think about where you want to drop shadows, what kind of texture something has, how it absorbs light, how it reflects it, etc. And yeah, like I said, you want to practice with these different techniques. I've been drawing for a very long time, so if you're fairly new to drawing, don't be discouraged that you can't draw something super awesome right off the bat. It's just not the way it works. It's just like anything else, really. If you're new to music, you're not going to be super awesome right off the bat. Well, more than likely you won't be. But if you work at it, then you will get better. It will probably take a while, but you'll get there. The same thing with drawing a car, not drawing a car, rather, but driving a car, or riding a bicycle. You had to struggle at some point with it before you mastered that. You know, playing sports, for instance, you had to learn the basics and you had to practice. Practice. When I'm bored, I will doodle on whatever I can get my hands on. I actually make it a habit of carrying around a pen with me wherever I go. And I have to say, I feel quite naked without a pen, actually. So yeah, just practice different techniques, practice different drawings, drawing styles, practice drawing different things. Eventually, you'll get the hang of drawing on the fly and learning how to draw what you feel. And that is a lesson for another time. Thank you for watching The Art of Drawing Like Andy, and I hope you stay tuned. Good night.